da 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 Kababaihan ay makapangyarihan, baguhin ang lipunan, sang tinig ang kailangan sa pagbabago ng ating kasaysayan.
It was Johann Galtung who said that there are two kinds of violence, three kinds in fact. Cultural violence, direct violence, and structural violence. And most of the time we think of violence as just stopping direct violence, which is the manifestation of violence, of any kind of destructive conflict. But we shouldn't stop there. We should think about what are the structural roots of the violence, what are the cultural roots of that violence, because only then can peace be enduring. So here now in the Philippines, we have started to work on a framework that has been passed on to us by the Institute for Economics and Peace. And so they've come up with the 8 pillars of positive peace. And these are a well-functioning government, low levels of corruption, good relations with your neighbors, acceptance of the rights of others, sound business environment, high levels of human capital, equitable distribution of resources, and free flow of information. So any society that has all 8 is a peaceful society. But it's not just a peaceful society. It's also a society that has a high economic growth, has social cohesiveness, its people are healthy and happy and get along with each other. And most of all, they take care of their environment better. So anytime you're asked, what kind of society do you want to have? You just say, I want a peaceful society, and everything goes with that.
Kababaihan ay makapangyarihan, baguhin ang lipunan, sang tinig ang kailangan.
Mothers for Peace started in 2003 as a campaign. The government of the Philippines was then negotiating with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. And all of a sudden, the Armed Forces of the Philippines bombs the main headquarters of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. And so, of course, MILF said, what are you doing? We're in the middle of negotiations, and you are bombing our main headquarters. So they stopped negotiations, and the ceasefire was over. And so I was then a member of the negotiating panel, and I didn't know what can we do in this instance. So I said, so why don't we get the people, especially the mothers, to say, go back to the negotiating table, okay? Stop this nonsense. And so that's when the campaign started. Mothers for Peace was a campaign. So we brought about 2 Muslim women and 1 indigenous woman to Manila, and they made a round of all the television studios. We had a press conference. They also went to many of the NGOs to get support, and so that became big news, okay? And also, what was very interesting, in a way you can work this way, I wrote a letter out of the blue to the Advertising Foundation of the Philippines, okay? I didn't know anybody really, but I wrote a letter and I faxed it to them, and I said, would you adopt our campaign as your campaign? And they said yes. And so with that piece of paper, we were able to get the support of all the TV stations, networks, all the broadsheets. We were also got the support of the major, what you call this, corporations, major advertisers, and all the major advertising agencies. So out of that, we were able to get one TV video, which was shown on all the networks. We got 2 full-page ads, which were printed in the most popular newspapers, and so it became important. It became big deal. So within 3 months, the government and the MILF went back to the negotiating table. So Mothers for Peace started as a campaign, but then it got so much support from so many different groups that we said we can't stop now. And so we made it into a movement. So now it's a movement. And this is what most of them are doing. It's a social enterprise.
Kababaihan ay makapangyarihan, baguhin ang lipunan.
I become the partner, the arm for this social enterprise. Then what we're doing right now is actually moving towards how to take care of the environment, this home we call the earth. So the first thing that we do is to do this anti-sachet campaign as a community. So we're actually reclaiming our ability to do the production and to cancel out the sachets, the plastics that is heavily damaging the environment. So as you would know, we are again #1 in the world in terms of plastics. We
Plastic
even
waste,
beat India in this matter. So we are afraid that in 2050 there will be more plastics than fishes in the oceans. So that's the most critical thing that tayo community together with Mothers for Peace and the Kahayag Foundation are doing right now. So it is actually in line with the concept of kalibutan that we have to take care. The surrounding environment that creates this narration for us to be together.
Kababaihan ay makapangyarihan.
It is a fact in the world that we are really a colonized country for like 300, 400 years almost from Spain, another 50 years from America, and almost 2 years by the Japanese occupation. And this actually affects how our mentality works. As Said in Orientalism wrote that colonialism is really a disease that erases our identity as a community, as a people, in its connection with the land. So that's why the meat of our philosophy that we're doing in here is actually grounded in our indigenous practices and in the relationships that we have with our ethnic groups, with our religious groups, with the world around us. And this gives birth to the kind of pluralism that the kalibutan that we know. And this also paved the way to the understanding of tayo. So tayo becomes now an imperative. Whenever I talk with tayo philosophy, it is an imperative that you are part of it already. It removes the fourth wall. It becomes you are part of this philosophy. So tayo philosophy becomes a living philosophy which I actually live today. And I'm also afraid that this would lead into something more significant in terms of identifying our identity as a Filipino. To the point that we have to really look if our stories aligns or in dissonance with the story of the history. And whenever we will find, I'm afraid, that it is in dissonance and it seeks justice for Mindanao, for the world, maybe we will tread on that path. We don't know what will be the next phase.
Baguhin ang lipunan, sang tinig ang kailangan sa pagbabago ng ating kasaysayan. ang bukas.
This is our home. So Alexander and Rama said, this is almost 50 years now. And everything goes back to me now as I sit here, because this is where we started giving seminars to Muslim women in the days when, you know, Muslim-Christian relations were not so good. And this is where it all started, in this room. And here we are again, and you're naming it now a home for humanity. So it's like, yeah, you go back to, what did they say? You go back to the same place where you started. So this is the way I feel today. And I keep saying there are really only two things a peace builder does. One is to build hope, because with hope, we act. Without hope, we won't. And the other is to build trust. And this is, I think, the essence of what it means to be part of Home for Humanity. That we build hope and we build trust. And in the end, as I always say, there are really just very simple things that we need to do. We have to stop living in the or. Me or you, us or them, my country or your country, my religion or your religion. Stop living in the or and start living in the end. And I've heard this from Alexander and from Rama and everybody else this past 2 days that we've been together. And so, can we now start to be part of this awesome, what I'm calling the awesome Home for Humanity, what we call our interconnectedness, our awesome end. So thank you again for being part of your family.
Baguhin ang lipunan, sang tinig ang kailangan sa